Good day, everyone, and a warm, safe thank you for allowing us into your homes, offices, as we present our Data AI webinar. Today's session is co-hosted between Cloud4C and Microsoft Canada. I'm Rocco Monteleone, Country Manager for the Canadian region, and delighted to be part of this session with you. We have two special guests from Microsoft, a Data AI Technology Strategist, Gowri Sivanathan, and a Cloud AI expert, Steve Young, who will walk us through a data demo. From Cloud4C's end, we have complemented Gowri and Steve with our very own data specialist, Tanmay Jadhav. Let's keep this interactive. We encourage you to ask questions in the chat box, and we will answer them along the way or at the end of the session, where we'll allow a little bit of time for some Q&A. Even during these challenging times, our appetite for data has not waned. The voluminous ocean of information continues to grow at an accelerated pace. In parallel, the variety of data generated has also added to the complexity as we try to really make sense of it all while keeping security front and center. This is what defines Cloud4C's partnership with Microsoft. We help you make sense of it all.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanmay Jadhav, Presales Architect for Data and Analytics for Cloud4C, Cloud4C's global team. So continuing on the backdrop that Rocco set for all of us, I feel there has never been a better time to achieve impact with our data. And today data is available in abundance, computing power is ever increasing, and mathematical techniques and so-called data science are getting more and more advanced. So what's more, digital and data have become the talk of the town. Yet, while talking about the data as the new oil or the new gold, these are the jargons that we see every now and then, is fairly widespread these days. And several technologies and business-related difficulties make understanding data's importance and realizing a potential a persistent change. So against this backdrop, we would want to present the scope of data's growing importance and impact potential, and how and where can one start their data journey. So most organizations know. So can we be on the earlier slide, please? Thanks. So most organizations know that enhancing their analytical capabilities is critical to their success and survival, and helping them gain a competitive advantage or helping them maintain their current market position becomes a very natural step out of this. So, but for many, implementation of leading edge analytics remains a work in progress, and very few have completely implemented their desired leading edge analytical techniques and technologies. And there are several reasons that implementation is incomplete. So to name a few, the wide variety of technologies that are being adopted, the varying stage of maturity of each technology, and the benefits that can be realized by each technologies. So kind of these become the reasons or deterrents for adopting data and analytics in an organizational plan. So organizations that have implemented leading edge analytic techniques and technologies, they've uniformly report improvement in their performance, better revenue growth, and insights into the competitiveness and relevance in the market with the help of the data. This makes data and analytics and related solutions around data one of the most important drivers of digital transformation journey of any organization, regardless of the industry and domain of their operations. Can we move to the next slide? So why should we care about the data? It's really difficult to comprehend how fast the volume of data grows every day. Every 2 years, the world's data doubles, as in the volume that has been there, it doubles every 2 years. And thanks to this increasing capacity of humans and machines producing it, statistically in 2020, there is around 44 zettabytes of data. In 2003, this data was just 4.4 zettabytes, and it is expected to reach around 180 zettabytes in 2025. Uh, this opens up a lot of doors for adopting data and analytics solutions. So talking about the adoption of these solutions, big data adoption in the enterprises, these have soared from 17% in 2018 to 59% in 2021, which basically has a cumulative annual growth rate of 36%. And customer interactions with data is it is expected to reach 6 billion individuals with the amount of data that an individual is carrying today, with the wearable devices, with the IoT devices, with uh, all the connected devices that we carry on our bodies, with the smartphones that we have today. The interaction with customer data is going to be 6 billion individuals, which is somewhere around 75% of the world population. But it's not just the scale of data that matters. It's our ability to leverage the massive amount of data to uncover insights that solve problems, enable efficiencies, and delight customers. So, to adopt the data-driven use cases, and the drivers or catalysts for this decision could be embracing a few common use cases. And we end up hearing these use cases every now and then. We speak about prescriptive analytics, which focuses on what the future holds and prescribes the course of action possible against risks and outcome of decisions taken based on past predictions. Then there is real-time analytics, which talks about high rate of data flow, which uh, result in fast accumulation, which is good, but managing huge data can pose a significant challenge. Machine learning, it's not new. It impacts the decision making process because this technology, in conjunction with data, can create predictive models to forecast the future more accurately than humans. Then there is data. So we talk about data-driven organization. According to a research, by 2022, businesses are expected to make around 430 billion gains by taking a data-driven approach. So this talks volumes for adopting data as an imperative strategy for any organizational goal. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yeah. So as the data grows, the companies continue to have their challenges to managing data for a long-term enterprise survival. And these are multiple challenges, such as in numerous number of data sources that also increases over time, the complex integrations across multiple systems, the way how each department within the company makes data exploration and reuse the data extremely, as in reuse of data becomes extremely challenging, and it also creates silos of data and views. So the type of data that we're dealing with poses a huge challenge as well as an opportunity uh, to utilize the power and of data, and every drop of data, put every drop of data at work for an organizational growth and business insights for better decision making. So as a consequence, data has become the new corporate asset. And the best way for companies to generate and access is to digitize everything they do, and adopting an optimal solution which helps them in negating the deterrents of an effective data management practice. Uh, can we move to the next slide, please? So what makes an organization a data-driven organization? The decision value spectrum on the screen illustrates the journey from big data to big decisions. We have a lot of data, but we want to take better decisions with that. So starting from statistic data storage, we can employ business intelligence or ERPs or resource planning tools to turn meaningless data into information and knowledge. As you move into decision support and real-time optimization, with a supply chain planning and optimization solution, we can get insights necessary to make big decisions. So these building blocks to this decision making and the solutions enabling us to put the data to action is essentially the bridge between having big data and using that to enable ourselves for big and better decisions. And this is where cloud will play a vital role for collating data, collecting data from multiple sources, and making sure that data is put to use in the desired way, or uh, is working in a way where organizations want to reach a particular goal, utilizing or leveraging data for any of the use cases that they want to implement. Next slide, please. We've been talking about data and the importance of it. Any business with a website, a social media presence, and anyone who accepts electronic payments of any kind is collecting data about customers. So these are just a few options or just a few sources which I can think of. And there are user habits, there's web traffic, there is demographics, everything that is contributing to data and the potential. So the data is filled with potential, and if you can learn to get at it, that is where we are here to discuss the value of data and how it can help us reach our organizational goals. So while there are many influences when making a decision, what happens in the company, global news, uh, your gut, there is nothing as persuasive as having hard data to back you up. That's profit increasing power you can't afford to pass up. And organizations can gain the same advantage as any organization or any larger organization who has a data strategy. Anyone can adopt that strategy and use it the right way. So businesses can harness data to make decisions about finding new customers, increasing customer retention, improving customer service, better managing marketing efforts, tracking their social media interactions, predicting sales, etc., etc. So data helps us understand and improve business process, so we can reduce wasted money and time. Every company feels the effects of waste. It depletes resources, squanders time, ultimately impacts the bottom line. Also gives a better visibility. So data gives a better visibility of overall business as dealing with multi-dimensional data sets and interpretations through graphical representations via reports and dashboards, which we will also see it in the demos that will follow up. Gives a clear and enhanced visibility of the business operations. Can we move to the next slide? So the use cases of data and analytics cuts across multiple industries and domains. And I won't dive deep into this slide because this talks about commonly implemented use cases or commonly thought of use cases that are relevant and adaptable in most organizations who want to leverage the value of data for better big business insights and decisions utilizing the best practices of data solution. Um, so these use cases primarily cater to multiple domains in any that any organization could have, and these will essentially help us at least kickstart the journey and identify some of the use cases which can add value to the organizational goals and start our journey for using data and analytics.
Hi, everyone. Gowri Sivanathan, Partner Technology Strategist from Microsoft Canada here. You'll see that the industry use cases Tanmay mentioned become a reality for many businesses through the process of identifying and implementing data modernization as a part of your organizational journey.
As you examine Azure cloud-based architectures, such as the one I've pictured here, you'll notice that, again, at a basic level, data solutions haven't changed over the years. We still need to gather data, whether that's in batch or real time, store the data somewhere, provide these sources to power users, who then augment and refine that data to create reports and visualizations for end users. In my opinion, and being a data visualization analyst at heart, so I might be a little biased here, the important thing about data solutions is the end user and reporting and the visualizations they interact with. One thing that we can't forget about is the success of any solution is how we make our end users more productive, and that usually boils down to our data analytics and data visualizations. So I'm going to do a quick walkthrough or demo to illustrate using Power BI as a visualization tool, sort of the art of the possible. And being able to do all this work, we need to tell compelling stories with our data. And the main goal here is to provide that positive experience to the end users as the key to our success. So the situation I have here is that a company's HR budget manager needs to monitor the status of the full and part-time employees and the budgets. With this, the analytics team has created an interactive dashboard and reports that allows them to gain insights into those metrics, sort of a focused set of dashboards and reports. When you think about designing analytics, it's all about the story or story arc that you're trying to get across. I call this guided analytics, as you're not forcing the end user to dive around on their own, but are providing a pre-built path on the analytics of the subject at hand. The key is to provide reporting that's both proactive and will lead to action if required. So as we look into the demo I've created, it's a fictitious HR data. The format is very basic and would be a minimal viable product to get feedback. As you get into the visualization stage, iterative development and lots of feedback is another important key to success. So this would be the Monday morning dashboard. It contains visualizations and information that give highlights and the status of the employee salary data. As you can see here, commentary has been added that provides the status of updates over the weekend so the HR budget manager can see if there are any issues or anything that needs their attention. As you can see here, there were issues in the data that have been flagged, and the dashboard provides a scale or an instance of what is that error and what are the impacts. As you see here, there was an unknown employee added to the fact table, and the total payroll cost was $1,200. So as they're going through the data, they know, okay, it's not material, but I at least know there are issues. And further commentary was added saying that in looking at the data, the system said the hourly cost is way up for Bronte and that they're investigating. So if I look at the different facilities and I look at Bronte, it does look a little different. It's the hourly cost is half of the salary cost. So the key thing here in that story arc is knowing that HR manager, I see the issue, I'm looking at different things on my dashboard. Well, what's my next step? So if I want to drill into the detail here, I click on the visualization. It brings up the report in Power BI that this visualization was sourced from. So in terms of providing guided analytics, I can take a look at, I want to look at full-time, part-time, or other information that provides insight into this. So let's jump ahead a bit. But so after some analysis, they've decided they want more information. They want to drill down on this Bronte facility. So if I right-click on the graphic on Bronte, I'll see if I have different options. But what we've provided is a drill through report. So the person using this report can say, well, do I want to look at the year-to-date facility report or the drill through report? And what we'll do is go into that next level. So what we've been able to do is take that filter, that selection we've made, and everything on this report is filtered by that facility. So it gives the person investigating the issue, I can look at the budget data, the sales forecast data, what it is by month, the number of employees, different graphics, visualizations. I can select a different year. So I can go through and take a look at that in a little more detail. But Power BI is also linked up with AI routines and AI-enabled visualizations, where we have the ability to provide more insights. So you'll see here, I have different pages here. And what I'm going to do is just make that a little bigger. So there's an AI key influencers report. So this report takes advantage of the key influencer AI abilities through Power BI. And this visual helps us understand the factors that drive that metric sales cost that we're interested in. It analyzes the data, it ranks factors that matter, and brings them as key influencers. So if you see here, in everything in total, the North American sales manager as a key influencer in my total salary cost. But if I want to see, well, how does that compare to Bronte? So if I click on Bronte, oops, if I click on Bronte, it changes everything up to say, well, in Bronte, job title, the quality assurance managers are the key influencers in the salary cost. And again, this is a simple example, but you can take any of those factors and metrics and determine what information you want to analyze by. So there's one final report I want to take a look at, because it dates way back, but we've been able to bring this into Power BI. It's the decomposition tree. So a decomposition tree is a visual that allows you to visualize your data across multiple dimensions. In the past, we call it like basket analysis. That's the main use case for this kind of report. But it automatically aggregates data and enables drilling down into the dimensions in any order. As I see, oh, total payroll cost, let me click on the plus. I can look at it, and we've provided this for the guided analytics, facility, job title, sales role. So if I take a look at sales role, oh, okay, so out of my total payroll cost, the majority are non-sales. So let me take a look here. I can then say, okay, let me take a look at the facilities. So I can now see, okay, this is my split by facility. And if I see, well, I was looking at Bronte, I want to see the job titles that matter. And then under the job titles, I can say, well, show me the names of the people. So what this allows me to do is to take a look at the dimensions I want to look at, but say, well, yeah, that's Bronte, and you'll see the highlighted lines. But how does that look in Sault Ste. Marie? So if I click on Sault Ste. Marie, the highlight is still there. So it guides me to that metric and that job title I was looking at Bronte, and see how these different job titles flow out in these different locations. So that's just a touch of what is the art of the possible in the reporting and sort of that end piece to your data migration journey. So just to wrap up, I want to just provide a thank you for letting me show this, and let me pass it back to Gowri.
AI is going to be one of the trends that is going to be the next big shift in technology. It's going to be AI in Power BI, like in Steve's demo, AI at the edge, AI in the cloud, AI as a part of SaaS applications, AI as even a part of things like infrastructure. And to me, to be a leader in it, it's not enough to just sort of have an AI capability that we can exercise. You also need to have the ability to democratize it so that every business can truly benefit from it. That to me is our identity around AI, and why every organization should be able to work towards making their data estate AI ready. So let's learn about the impact of AI in your organizational journey. Next slide, please. Before I dive a little bit deeper into this slide, I'd first like to define artificial intelligence and what it relies on. So AI is a set of technologies that enable machine learning intelligence to simulate or augment elements of human thinking. So it's a way to make human thinking intelligent. And what is one thing that AI relies on? The one key thing is data. And how much data is out there. And as per the slide, you can tell that by 2025, there's going to be 180 zettabytes of data in the digital world. That's a lot of data. And we should be able to figure out what we should do with this intelligently. So there are some problems and complications that may come along the way. What could possibly go wrong? Next slide, please. Say you're training, previous slide. Say you're training an image recognition system to identify US presidents. The historical data reveals a pattern of males, so the algorithm concludes that only men are presidents. It won't recognize a female in that role, even though it's a probable outcome in future elections. Next slide. So what can we do? There are estimates that bad data costs us, the US economy, the North American economy, roughly $3.1 trillion each year. That's a lot of zeros. So in order to address this, there's actually a solution in place. And we have a lot of experienced people and models to learn from in order to put this process into work. The process we have is the cross-industry standard process for data mining, or technically called CRISP-DM, that helps alleviate a lot of the issues that we've been discussing to build safeguards and controls in place along the way. If you're to take a look at this model, or this flow map on this slide, you would take existing data, which we call historical data, and then you will spend some time understanding it. You'll see how many missing values there are, look for numbers that are way too big or way too small, and you're going to want to scale it. And you're going to also look at everything else in that data to make sure things are in check. Once you're aware of what's going on with your data, you're going to spend some time cleaning and fixing those issues. And 80% of your time is going to be spent in the above that I just mentioned. Once you've got a nice data set, we're going to train it. And then you've got to test, and repeat it until you are happy with the model that you have, and it can be used and it can be deployed. The key thing is that you're not going to be successful the first time, and it's important to continue to improve your machine learning model so that it doesn't reflect any bad data costs that we previously talked about. Now, you'll see Microsoft's cognitive services that I previously mentioned. These are some of our pre-built AI models that can help you and your team and your organization think about how you want to move into a data estate that's AI ready. I won't drain this slide too much, but here you have a list of things from vision to search. And today I will briefly demonstrate a cognitive search model, or a demo, which is the last pillar that I've listed in that slide, using a popular use case. Next slide, please. This AI demo is meant to show how structured and unstructured information can be ingested, processed, and visualized to discover latent intelligence in documents and assets and collection of information that tend to be abstract and unrelated when it comes to art galleries. So we'll look at the Met and an Art Explorer demo that we have in place around the vast collection of art and historical artifacts that the Met has in New York. So now that you understand that there are a lot of abstract, unrelated, and unstructured data in this art form, let's dive in and see how all of this works. So through the Art Explorer portal, the Met's collection is searchable and discoverable online. Today, let's say we're interested in American history and specifically George Washington. So we'll type in George Washington into the search engine. And you'll see many results pop up here. You'll see that there are sculptures, paintings, letters, drawings. So there's so many different art forms, and a lot of them are quite unrelated, but the one thing that relates them is George Washington. So let's click through and see what we can learn more about one specific piece. For example, I have one open already to save some time. The Washington crossing the Delaware. This is quite a famous piece. Here you'll see that the individual painting and the available metadata about it as well. We'll see the detailed photo, the artist, the date it was painted, as well as the technique that was used and how it became a collection, or how it came to the collection of the Met. Below we have a number of tags as well. I'll just navigate to that piece. So what's interesting here is that the Azure AI not only identifies boat, but it also provides the plural of boat as well. So we recognize that George Washington, there's a group of men, potentially a battle, that there's a flag present through some of these tags as well. And these are very abstract concepts that the AI was able to recognize. We also see a table of related items, visually similar artwork, and that you can go through. So this is actually based off of an algorithm rather than specific tags or titles or artists. This information lets us discover relationships between unstructured information, and using these tags, the artifacts that we might find interesting or that we're inspired by can connect us to new forms of art. If we want to see how some of these items come into play, something that's interesting that I found on this website too, in addition to the related items, is trying to see what else it maps out to. So if you go to the related items icon just on the top right corner, you'll see that this image links to a lot of other different types of artwork based on a similar bucket. So it could be suggested due to the similar period that it was based in, similar type of medium that was used to create it, or a similar artist, or similar objects depicted. What I find really, really interesting about this is that it can connect us to things like marble busts of George Washington, when normally we wouldn't have been able to see those different sculptures. If we're walking through the Met, as big as it is, we wouldn't be able to see all of the different connections come together. So let's take a look at one of the sculptures here that this is able to identify to us. Let's take a look at this one. So here is a sculpture of George Washington. And here we see another detailed page and its relevant information tags, images, and the services found a number of interesting busts across the collection. And let's look at one specifically. So the Minnehaha is another sculpture that was made, but it's not on George Washington. I can see here that it mentions things that we wouldn't have previously been connected to if we hadn't had that previous information on George Washington. Cognitive search is a way for us to also generate new knowledge about artifacts that we didn't know about previously. So this being done at scale across thousands and hundreds of pieces, it lets us learn more about what's on this planet, and it also inspires us to continue to learn more about different artists and collections and different types of mediums that we previously might have not known about. So if AI and image search can unlock this type of intelligence in data, as unrelated and unstructured it is in art and history, imagine what else it can do with things like document and text and things like that. So I found this really interesting, being an art history and art library sort of enthusiast. So when I look at something like this, I really see a lot of potential to bring in vast amounts of metadata together to have a cohesive image of it all together.
So as we establish the clear need for adopting data and analytics as part of the data-driven organizational journey, we spoke about how data can help. So Cloud4C, as an implementation partner for Microsoft Azure, we can help organizations embrace data solutions at different levels of adoption maturities, right from strategizing the use of data in an organizational growth or defining a clear data roadmap to adopt greenfield solutions like data lakes and data warehouses on cloud. If you already have a legacy data platform, we help you reestablish the platform on cloud, helping you to leverage the power of cloud by modernizing your data platforms. With our advanced analytics, we help customers in their AI and ML journey with use case driven modeling and expertise around pre-built models for these use cases. So since we've been talking about data coming at an exponentially increasing rate from an explosion of data sources, the amount of data you have available to do something is shrinking. The time that you have to do something with the data is shrinking, and we don't want to miss the bus. So developing a big data strategy to realize fast business outcomes, our partners, our experts, our technologies can help organizations succeed in a data-driven world. Can we move to the next slide? We'll just dive deep into a few things that we can help customers onto. So with our data, so having a clear data strategy is absolutely important and vital for any organization. So when you consider the sheer volume of data that is available these days, I see too many businesses get so caught up in the big data buzz that they collect as much as data as possible without really considering what they want to do with it. So while others are so overwhelmed by these options, but options that probably they bury their head in the sand. Neither of these approaches represent a smart way to run a business. So instead of starting with the data itself, every business should essentially start with a strategy. So at this stage, it doesn't matter what data is out there, what data you're already collecting, what data your competitors are collecting, or what new forms of data are becoming available. Neither does it matter whether your business has mountains of analysis ready data at your disposal or next to, or probably there's no data. A good strategy is not about what data is readily or potentially available. It is about what your business wants to achieve and how data can help you get there. So with our data consulting services, unlike other technology-led solutions, our services combine both strategic advisory and technology to align business needs with proven and emerging solutions that drive targeted business outcomes. And this is where we add value to a customer's data journey even before we start playing with the data. So we decide what to do with that data, what is it that we want to achieve, and then we move on to the next steps. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yep. So with our data engineering services, we help organizations to create a data lake. Data lake essentially helps in creating an enterprise reservoir of disparate data sources, have a scalable layered data architecture with primary storage, process, and access data layers, which can eventually dump data onto a data warehouse, and we can use it for further visualizations. We can help customers in solutions catering to big data and warehousing, where we build a central data repository that unifies heterogeneous sources, maintains data quality, also gives us access to the information so that we can visualize it, build enterprise data warehouse solutions, data marts, operational data stores for business and domain specific use cases. With master data management, we help in managing and unifying critical data sets in the best format. We help customers managing or maintaining their single source of truth, which can also be called as a trusted data, because there's a lot of data noise around us, and we want to just ensure that we have more accurate insights out of it. So we store it in a way which is more accurate than to just play around with the data and waste time in processing. With real-time analytics, we help get the ability to ingest the data in real time and also visualize the data in real time. Obviously powered by scalable data processing and storage offered by the cloud platforms. And with dashboard and visualizations, we help customers transform the data into insights and kind of help them demystify the data-driven decision making by transforming the way you present the data to the relevant stakeholders. Next slide, please. So with data platform modernization, this primarily follows the similar approach that Gowri presented in a few slides before a few slides, which talks about adopting data at as in data modernization basis a level of maturity for any organization's data journey. So the available choices for moving a data platform to cloud would follow the standard industry 6R approach, whether we decide to rehost, replatform, re-architect, retain, retire, or repurchase. And these approaches, and we adopt these approaches, and basis the priority and feasibility, the appropriate modernization strategy or migration strategy is suggested. So the modernization of legacy. So if there is a legacy platform that is already there, the modernization of legacy platforms to like Netizas or Teradatas of the world to a cloud-based Azure Synapse or SQL Data Warehouse follows an iterative and a phased approach, where the engagement starts with an assessment of the current platform, architecting and design phase, migrating and validation stage, and it ends with the hypercare or data ops, which kind of provides managed services for the analytical platform. Can we move to the next slide, please? So Cloud4C is the data capability on Azure. Our capabilities and experience in leveraging the best in the segment tools offered by Azure, along with a few other integrations to develop and deploy data-related solutions on cloud is extensive, and we follow a native analytics stack offered by Azure for implementations of solutions on Azure as a data platform. We have a lot of use cases where we've used these tools and where we've integrated multiple other technologies onto a data lake or a data warehouse being created on Azure. So moving on to the next slide. So as I said, apart from the operational process and methodologies that we just saw, Cloud4C brings its extensive experience of working in multiple domains and extend that experience in identifying the right strategy for a customer, and recommends the best suite of services and technologies basis the domain specific needs. So be it BFSI specific solutions, or be it healthcare specific solutions, which require adherence to security compliances and guidelines set by these organizations or these industries. We add value in the journey with the domain specific schema definitions and model created basis the implemented use cases in the past for our multiple customers. We suggest profiling and cleansing rules specific to an industry and help him in adhering to the compliances, as I said. We blend our expertise of using automated deployments with the help of DevOps services. We have an inbuilt automation center of excellence to lay down an automated development and testing framework for data solutions. And with security at the forefront of everything that we do on cloud, as a standard practice at Cloud4C, data security across identities, access, networks, applications, logging, etc., becomes an integral part of our delivery. So with that, we, as a follow-up to this webinar, I would like to conclude it with an offer that we have curated for everyone who would be interested to know the stepping stones of climbing the data ladder. And we've created a phased approach which will help an organization have a plan to achieve the roadmaps and goals which we will identify in the workshop. So anyone interested in identifying what to do with our data and how do we reach the organizational goal, or what strategy do we use, we can drop your queries. We can get in touch with you, and we can help you get a roadmap where we will help you decide and define what can be done with your data.